Hello everyone. Okay, yes, I'm back. And this is another impulsive video, so it's not rehearsed or anything. I have a big picture um, to contextualize, what I'm about to share. But just on the heels of recent therapy session, I decided that it was time for me to record a video about this particular topic. Um, and it's also been inspired by, I belong to this group called Origins of Pain, right? So I will not be sharing any of the details of that group in our discussion, but like I said, I once again contextualize, right? Because I spent a lot of time recently in my think tank just about my life and, you know, how you have to. It is very important to self evaluate so that you can self correct. Just kind of take a look at yourself. So I just realized that I'm wearing my glasses with the that do not have the anti glare prescription on them, but I don't feel like getting up and changing my glasses. So, um, but just thinking about this and the origin of pain, and I'm going to share. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I am going intentionally going to go very deep with this message because um, I believe that what I've learned is that what stays hidden doesn't get healed, and it'll just kind of keep rolling over you over. It'll drive up, then it'll go back. It'll drive. It just keeps going, and you just keep repeating like these painful cycles, which is not good, right? Um, so many of you who have seen my sweatshirt, Texas girl growing up in a New Jersey world, you know, well, the start of my life's journey did not begin in the state of Texas. I was born in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I'm thinking about this because, when's my birthday? Next Wednesday, November 5th, will mark the completion of my 57th trip around the sun. Yes, so that's it. But what I've done just in thinking about it is that it's like, what do I want the next chapter of my life? What are the things that I want to unfold in the next chapter of my life? And I had a very transparent conversation with myself because you have to be very careful who you share things, because certain people, you share things with certain people and then you walk away feeling worse than you did whenever the conversation started, and that does not help. So I'm becoming I will be, I have been quiet before, but I'm going to be much quieter now. I'm just going to walk it out and do my thing, right? But I was born in North Carolina, November 5th, 1968. And I was born to a single mom, I was born to a single mom who was just amazing. And she, she married my father, well, she married my dad, who is not my biological father. Those of y'all who know him, you know me as his daughter, but he is. And I'm just telling you that. Some of y'all gonna be shocked to hear that, but it's not a secret. It's not bad, But and I believe it takes a hell of a man to take another man's child and raise that child as your own, right? And through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so he and my mom got married two years later. 2 years after I was born, they got married, December 1970, right? And then and then along came my younger sister and brother, and I'm the oldest of my mother's children, right? Then along came the second of my mother's children, and my brother and sister, and it and when I was in the second grade, we relocated to Texas at that point, right? So we left North Carolina. And see, Texas, my mother's family, they're east side, East Coast. My mother's, the North and South Carolina, and they're either in North South Carolina, some are in Georgia. They just keep going up. Some are in New Jersey and in New York. So y'all, that's how I ended up on the East Coast, right? And at the time, my mother's brother and sister, and she had an aunt and an uncle, my grandmother's siblings who also lived in New York, right? But they, that's how I ended up in these Northeast streets, right? And I had, my mother, my junior year in high school, and I've shared this with y'all, and I have not told the story about what happened to my mom, but those who, especially family members, they know the story about what happened with my mom, right? And I'm not going to tell the story here either because it doesn't serve a purpose, right? It's just that her life came to a tragic end. And, you know, March 15th, 1986, and it, it was hard because, my mom and I were close. I was very, very close to my mom. And it's crazy because so many people wondered, oh my God, what's going to happen to Demetria now that she doesn't have her mom? Like, what's going to happen with her, Because my mom was like, I just learned so much from her. And I have a lot of her spirit just like dwells within inside me because I like her. I love to cook. I love music, and and I look out for people, and it's what I do. But let me back up a second, though. I told you guys that he's not my biological father. I did not find that out until officially. That was not officially confirmed for me until I was 13. So, but I always knew something wasn't right because the math wasn't mathing, but you don't ask, you know. You don't ask questions. You just keep going and everything. So after I turned 13, that's when I found out that he was not my biological father, right? I later met my biological father. That's not the purpose of this story, right? But it was just, I went through a lot, just from just that journey up until the age of 17, just going through a lot, just watching my mom live with a lot of pain and just seeing her be hurt, and just there was just a lot. And so when her life ended, it was just like, oh my God, like what in the hell is gonna happen? What am I gonna do without my mom? And so you do the best that you can with what you have, right? And I went on to finish, and I shocked everybody because people didn't think I was gonna make it, but I graduated high school in the top 10% of my class, still broke records and everything in track the next year, running uphill and played basketball, just did all those things, So then it got to a point where it was just like, but there were a lot of things that were happening to me privately that people didn't know because I was raised with that, what happened, what stays happens in the house stays in the house. One of those people, raised like that, And so I just never, I was hurt and just going through things but just not telling, because I didn't want to tell on anyone. Yeah. But my aunt knew, my mother's sister, she knew what had happened, what was happening. And it was just, it became a decision where it was like, I've got to get my sister's daughter, we got to get her out of Texas. We just got to get her out of Texas, right? And so I left. I took a Greyhound bus. Yeah, Greyhound. Because they were going to fly me. I was like, oh no, I'm not flying. Like, I'm just like, I've only been at that point in my life, I had only been on a plane. This was in 91. This was in 1991. And I had only been on a plane twice in my life. I've been on the ground a lot, taking bus trips to different things and driving long distance trips. But plane, I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. I'll take the bus. And my uncle was like, that's going to take a really long time. I said, that's okay. I'm not in a hurry. And I did. I took a Greyhound bus from Dallas, Texas to Port Authority Bus Terminal in New York City. And that's what I did, right? And I made it, and this was before there was cell phones or anything like that. That's before that. And my auntie and my uncle, they sent me calling cards. I had calling cards and cash. That's what I did. I took that bus trip with calling cards and cash, with instructions that every time that bus stopped, I was supposed to make that call to my auntie. And that's what I did, and that's how I traveled. And I got to New York. By this time I was 23, and I got to New York. So I was young, but I got there and I made it. My auntie had bought me a bus pass and said, I was like, what's this? And so explained to me how to get around. I learned how to take quote unquote public transportation, because I didn't grow up with that in Texas. In Texas, you drove. If you didn't drive, you walked or you rode your bike or you got a ride and everything. You didn't get on public transit. We didn't have that, right? So then I go, and but it's just like, all these pain points of my life that I just put aside. It's like, okay, you know what? Just move forward. Just move forward. But I was raised and grew up with this whole, you just never addressed the pain. You just kept moving. I may get emotional with this, but I'll be all right. You just kept moving forward, but you never addressed the pain. Even when my mom, died and everything, like, we didn't get therapy, we didn't get counseling, we didn't get any of that and everything. We went to church. That was it. And so then you get to a point. So now just thinking about just things, but I got there and I made it. I got professional career, worked in the public career, started my own business, wrote a book, did all that, and then I got hit again, right? And so then it became a health issue, right? And but I still kept going, right? I still kept going. But one thing that if I could just tell any of y'all, if there's something what stays hidden doesn't get healed. And if something is hurting you, if it hurts you before, if you don't deal with it, it will hurt you again. It's going to come back. It doesn't go away. It does not go away. I have a friend who has, from childhood, an older friend, and he had something happen with his ankle, from a child. And it was never like, it was just like, they put, it was like Band-Aids on it and everything. But then now that he is in the adult space of his life and everything, that crap has come back around and is kicking his ass. I mean, it's just not good. So if what stays hidden doesn't get healed, And so at some point, talk to somebody. And talk to people who listen to learn, not to agree or disagree. Make them read my book, because you don't need people like that around you. It doesn't help you, friends or family and everything. If they're not going to help you rise and help you go higher in a way that you have already, you know what you need. You know what you need. And if people cannot respect the process of what you need and what you've already decided when you've got into your secret space and you pray to your higher being and everything, and you know what God is saying to you about you and what you need, and if people don't respect that process, then they are not the people that you need to have in your life. That they can't be there. They don't get a seat at the table, right? Because what stays hidden doesn't get held, and no one knows what you're going through except you. And so, in thinking about the origin of your pain, find that and talk to somebody about it, and talk to people who, and I'm going to tell you what you want to do. You don't want to talk to people who live in a judgment zone, because they think they're hitting strikes all the time, and they're not either. Who knows their stuff? So you're laying out all your cards and telling them all your stuff and everything, and you have not a shiny nickel red coin about what's going on with them, because they're not telling you that. They just too busy, because they're too busy judging you. That they got to go. So what stays hidden doesn't get healed, and get you a tribe of people who really want to help you get better and hear you, and don't talk at you, about you, or around you, but talk to you. And you know what, and pray that God puts those people in your life. All right, because what stays hidden doesn't get healed. So I just wanted to share that with you. Get to the root cause of the origin of your pain, and I'm going to share this with the group so they'll know what I have to say on, because we virtually meet on Tuesdays at 6. I'll be there and everything, because I'm hoping that I'll be able to, because I have a great I have a phone screening tomorrow with an organization, which I'm really excited about that. Looking forward to that, hoping for a win. Okay? All right, so I love y'all, and I will talk. Now I gotta stop this. I will talk to you when I talk to you.